What's up, friends? We're back here on the Early Edge for Week 13, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Turkey Day, just a few days away. We've got a triple header. We'll get into those bets, the Black Friday bets, and the rest of the Week 13 slate. I'm here in the Florida studios with RJ White. We've got Will Brinson, Larry Hartstein joining us, the usual suspects. Turkey Day, just a quick, vibe check here. Will, how we feeling about another Lions game, which we'll get to, Lions-Packers, the first of the triple header. How we feeling about watching the Lions and eating your turkey?
There's nothing. First of all, I'm more excited about the Chiefs and the Cowboys game because it's on CBS and Paramount Plus, if you didn't know. But the Lions and the Packers game, look, I love watching the Lions. My dad had knee surgery, so my uncle isn't coming over for Thanksgiving every year. But every year at Thanksgiving for like the past 20 years, he's like, you know what they say, Will, you never bet against the Lions on Turkey Day. Uncle Mill's not aware the Lions are like historically just terrible against the spread. But more than anything, I think I'm thankful for you guys, but mostly Matthew Stafford.
Oh, I'm grateful for Matthew Stafford, too. I'm backing him this week, so hopefully he pulls through, which he probably will. I'm thankful for you guys as well. Larry, like Will said, we're so used to seeing the Lions losing, but they did come off the last Thanksgiving win, snapping a 7-game streak. It's just fun to watch Detroit, though, in general, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've actually got 4 great matchups among Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Lions, Packers, 2 of the best teams in the NFC. Cowboys and Chiefs both still hunting for a playoff berth. And then Joe Burrow coming back to make that Ravens-Bengals game interesting. And then the 8-3 Chicago Bears going to Philly. So I don't think you could ask for a better holiday schedule.
RJ, you a turkey guy? Lions guy?
Yeah, it's fun watching the Lions. Typically, it's a sleepy game because they're not very good. You're getting to watch some of these backup quarterbacks that I'm sure Will can rattle them all off by heart. The guys that we have cheered for on Lions when we're talking about picking these games. But as I mentioned, it's a great slate. It should be fun. Well, no, I was thinking, I can't even think of the guy, but who was like the third stringer for them that ended up starting randomly and we're not stop saying his name.
I'll think of it, but keep going.
He'll think of it. Yeah. All right. So we've already sort of touched on this a little. Lions are the 2.5-point favorite, as you saw in the graphic there. This did open 3 on Sunday, so a little bit of movement there past that key number. Like I said, they snapped the 7-game losing streak. Dan Campbell heading into his fifth game as the Lions head coach, 1-3 record in that stretch, taking on the Packers, who took care of the Vikings without Josh Jacobs, which was good. How good was their defense really, again, or was that more to say about the Vikings offense? Let's come to you first, Larry. You're going to tease the Packers, and I feel that. 2.5, not quite enough. 8.5 looks good, though.
Yeah, the Packers have lost 6 games since the middle of last season, and all of them have been by 2 or 3 points. They dominated the Lions in week 1. If you look at the Lions, when they face those elite defenses, the Eagles, the Packers, the Chiefs, they've been held to 17 or fewer points. I mean, that was a very miraculous escape for the Lions just a few days ago against the Giants. I mean, guys were running wide open in the secondary. I think on a neutral, the Packers are the better team right now. So I like the idea of teasing it up to 8.5 now that we've lost the 3.
All right, and the rest of us are on Lions 2.5. It's a lean for you, RJ.
Yeah, neither team playing its best football over the last few weeks, but one team has Jahmyr Gibbs and home field advantage. That's the team I'm going to lay 2.5 with, since we're getting it under the 3. Detroit also looking for revenge after that embarrassing season opener. The line makes sense for my ratings, but feels like this is going to be a Detroit win. And Will, I remember the name David Blau. How you like me now?
Oh yeah, David Blau. Yeah, good call, RJ. You look, David Blau. I mean, what a fun last name to say. Not so much fun to watch on Thanksgiving. I'm on the Lions here too. Got to give credit to RJ. I point upwards. I had the Lions as best bet last week. Didn't work out, and it was a look ahead spot. That's what they were doing. I mean, that offense did not come out in sync. Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown not on the same page the last 2 weeks. That's a little concerning. But yeah, I think this ends up being a pretty close game. I think the teaser by Larry is a smart move, but ultimately, I think they I think it's maybe more of a David Montgomery game too, where the Lions just kind of lean in and pound the football and try and soften up the Packers defense, take some shots down the field, maybe get a JMO look. That was a disappointing situation there as well, obviously. But I think the Lions will be prepared. They are out of the playoffs right now, by the way. If the playoffs started today, that's pretty crazy. Both the Chiefs and the Lions, two of the biggest favorites coming into the season, out of the playoffs. And Detroit knows how much this game means, especially if the Bears lose on Friday against the Eagles, to them trying to win that division. So I think Detroit comes prepared and finds a way to win this game.
I certainly think the Lions can cover, which is my play here. Issue is pretty much their entire starting offensive line is questionable right now on the injury report. So if that shows up to be better, then they certainly should cover, because Packers have the injuries of their own, as we know, with Josh Jacobs, and injuries on defense as well. Golden, Zach Tom at right tackle, still banged up. So if the injury report looks better for the Lions, I do think we'll see this get to 3. And again, the Packers defense looked great, and that was against J.J. McCarthy. We have to put those two together. Packers defense has been solid, but they looked great against J.J. McCarthy. I think Jared Goff bounces back as long as the O-line looks okay. And like you said, they have the talent out of the backfield. So I'll lay the 2.5 with the Lions. Let's talk Chiefs and Cowboys. This one, a 425 kickoff, total set at 52. This opened on Sunday, Chiefs 4, so that's down to 3.5. Both teams coming off crucial Week 12 wins, both crazy comebacks. Now they run into another crucial spot. Let's come to you first, RJ. How are you approaching this one?
Yeah, I love the 3. Now that it's down to 3, I like laying it with the Chiefs. They were 4.5 on the look ahead, and they had an awesome game against Indy, right? They didn't cover, but Indy got a free touchdown off a fluke interception. Right. Kansas City had 33 first downs to just 10 for Indianapolis. I mean, that's a team that looked, for all intents and purposes, like a contender coming into that matchup. Questions about who have they played, but the Chiefs really went out and obliterated them in that game, even if the score didn't indicate it. Dallas showed how inconsistent they are versus Philly. Terrible first half, great second half. You can't have one bad half against this Chiefs team. I think if you do, Chiefs are going to run away with this game. So I like the Chiefs -3. I think it should be at least a point higher.
All right. And Larry, you're saying a lean on Dallas.
I'm going to go the other way. There's still some 3.5s out there in the market, which I would encourage you if you are on the Cowboys like I am. I mean, Quinnen Williams has made a big difference in just 2 games, talking about 42 or 43 rushing yards on 19 carries. That's what Dallas has allowed in the last 2 games. Saquon had 22 yards on 10 carries. Now, I know the Chiefs don't run the ball much, but without Trey Smith, their all-pro guard, Quinnen Williams is going to cause some havoc in the middle of that offensive line. So I just think that it is going to be a great game. I think it could be high scoring in terms of the passing games. The Chiefs have not played indoors, so we get a chance to see their speed on the turf. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think both teams will play this close. I think, 27-24, something like that. And if you get the 3.5, you can cover.
Well, market certainly agrees with you. I should say odds makers do with this total set at 52. We're even seeing some over money there. For me, it's just a little too high, Will, and it looks like you're on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the Chiefs and the Cowboys in the midday game. Did I mention it's on CBS and Paramount Plus? Get your mom and dad your favorite family member subscription for Thanksgiving or Christmas. I'm sure there's a Black Friday sale. Use promo code Brinson, won't get you anything. But the over under here, the total is like it's set like this to me, this is visually set up to be a high profile game in the middle of the day. Everyone and their brother in a legal betting state is going to be betting on this game. You see Mahomes, you see Dak, and like no one's to bet the under on a Chiefs and Cowboys game in the middle of the day on Thanksgiving. Like you're sitting around with your family, everyone's taking the over. It's too high. RJ pointed out the way the Chiefs moved the ball against the Colts. I mean, they had, and I can't remember the exact number. Jim Nantz referenced it several times on the broadcast, but 2 possessions. They came away with 6 points, and it was like 16 minutes. And I think they're going to do the same thing to the Cowboys here to put Dak Prescott in a position where they kind of have to press a little bit. They're going to be methodical. Isaiah Pacheco, it was announced right before we started recording this, he's going to be back for the game. So they have 2 guys they can run now. Rashee Rice is banged up, so I think they would love, in a perfect world, to get him like 10 days and minimal usage here going into the next week. I like his under in terms of receptions at 6.5. But I think the Chiefs are going to be very methodical in the way they drive. They're not as explosive as they used to be. And then Dallas will try to run the ball too. The Quentin Williams thing helps the under as well. I just think we're going to see a lot more steady drives from these teams and explosive plays. Pretty good look too. If we get a low scoring first half, maybe come back and try to middle and over, second half over if it's not a high scoring first half. I love the under in this one.
Yeah, you mentioned Rice. Worthy also banged up. He questionable. He was limited in practice on Monday. And you said the Chiefs aren't very explosive. They're not explosive at all.
Right.
And they're cashing the under at the second highest rate in the NFL. They're 1-4 ATS on the road. I haven't seen much from that offense to give me faith that they would be explosive here. They haven't managed more than 21 points in regulation over the last 3 games. And then if we're talking about their defense, that's a silver lining. They just held the Colts squad, which I know there's regression with Daniel Jones, and a lot of it has to do with that. But they also just held the Colts to the fewest total yards and first downs in a game this season. They went 3 and out on their final 4 possessions. So I'll give credit to the Chiefs defense. I'll fade their offense a bit, despite the flashy names on both sides. And I would go under in the game. I agree with you there. Also, George Pickens, who's absolutely been going off, cashed for me easy this past week on yardage. They've boosted his yards up 10. It was 65.5 last week, up to 75 in the hook. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at George Pickens.
He's by the way, he's actually, I was just looking at the Thanksgiving slate on DK for DFS. He's more expensive than CeeDee Lamb now. That is wild that George Pickens is pricier than CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. The numbers don't lie, and it helps him so much with CeeDee Lamb existing because the defenses don't know what to do, which makes that offense dangerous, but I'm still going under. Bengals, Ravens. Ravens laying 7 here, total at 52. I'm seeing, Larry, you're leaning the Ravens, who have won 5 in a row after the 1-5 start. They're first in the AFC North. Bengals have lost 4 straight, but Joe Burrow's coming to the rescue. What do you expect from him here?
Well, he's going to probably give them a jolt, emotionally, but how effective is he going to be in his first game back? I'm not sure how effective he's going to be. And he doesn't do anything to help the defense. I think we've all been disappointed in what the Ravens have shown offensively over the last several games with Lamar not using his legs. They just don't seem to be clicking. This is the game where you should click. If you've ever got a chance to click, this is it against this horrific Bengals defense. I know the Patriots ran into some issues, but I'm not going to say that was all the Bengals defense. That was the Patriots losing a bunch of offensive linemen and, calling some ridiculous plays inside the 5-yard line. So I think the Ravens have a big day. I would wait for a 6.5. I think you'll get one.
Well, this is a true competition for our viewers. We're going to see who can convince you the most because we are quite literally all on different sides. RJ likes the under, Will likes the over, Larry likes the Ravens, and I like the Bengals. Now, I'll tell you why I like the Bengals here. I do think Joe Burrow breathes life into this offense. I know no T. Higgins, but Jamar Chase is back after that suspension. I think they do enough to keep it within a score, which they've done without Joe Burrow in all but one of the last 5 games. And Lamar Jackson is not healthy. He's not healthy. He didn't practice Monday with a toe issue. He missed practice last week with an ankle. Before that, it was a knee. He's clearly not 100%, and it's reflected in how he's playing. He was held to under 60% completion and 200 passing yards for 3 straight weeks. That's the first time in his career we've seen that. And the biggest threat of it all is his legs. He's averaging 18 rush yards since returning. That's a massive drop to around 41, which he was before. I know the Bengals defense is still awful, but I do think Joe Burrow gives them enough to at least keep this within 7. All right, so that's me and Larry up against each other. Now let's talk the total. Will, floor is yours first on why you like the over.
I mean, the biggest reason I don't like the over is because RJ's on the under. But I think this is just, we have seen these Bengals and Ravens games get loose before. And it just feels to me like, by the way, Jamar Chase against the Ravens, I believe, has 8 career touchdowns in 8 touchdowns in 8 career games and averages 120 plus receiving yards against the Ravens. He absolutely kills division rivals. Burrow has, can get in a back and forth shootout. We saw Brock Purdy come back from the turf toe injury 2 weeks ago. I know Purdy didn't look good on Monday night, but he looked great in his first game. I think Burrow is going to come out firing. Big game from Jamar Chase. I think we see Lamar maybe use his legs a little bit more. I like his over rush yards. It's like 25.5, which is crazy low just because this is such a huge game for everybody involved with where the AFC standings are. The Bengals want to play spoiler. I just think it gets loose and we get a back and forth affair. I would also note that a bet that I put in, Jamar Chase, 2 touchdowns, George Pickens, 2 touchdowns, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 2 touchdowns, round robin it. Let's get rich on Thanksgiving.
All right, a few options there, but you can't get away from the heads up approach here on the total. So RJ, now tell us why you're going Oppo.
Yeah, the Bengals defense wasn't awful against the Patriots. Only gave up 1 offensive touchdown, and Larry made some excuses for that. Offensive line injuries. They played some bad offensive lines this season, and it has not mattered. Teams are scoring all over them. So I have at least a little hope that they're actually progressing with this defense. Okay. And Lamar, like you said, is not playing well, under 60% completion rate. Last 3 with 1 passing touchdown combined in those 3 games. That should not be happening with how explosive that offense was last year. Not the same team. So that's what I'll bring to this under too. Will's talked about, these games got loose and massive scores last year in both games. Jamar Chase had 67 plus touchdowns 3 times in those games. He just could not be stopped. And the Ravens took that to heart and they went out and added cornerbacks and really made that the focus of rebuilding this defense. And it's playing a lot better. It's healthy. It's shutting teams down, playing at an elite level. Burrow's likely going to have to work out the rust here. He's not going to have T. Higgins in this game. I just think that 52 is wildly optimistic for this game based upon what we've seen in the past between these 2 teams. But neither of these offenses is in the same place as they were last year, clearly at this point.
All right, viewers, let us know who won the battle. Head to head. We'll move on, though. Bears, Eagles. We've got the Eagles laying 7 here, total at 44 in the hook. Bears coming off that win over the Steelers, a 3-touchdown game for Caleb Williams. The Eagles blowing a 21-point lead. Dallas scored 24 unanswered points to come back for the win. So I'm sure they're not happy, and the market is giving them the respect with them laying 7, to which RJ, you say is maybe too many points. You'll take it with the Bears. Yeah,
Chicago has won 8 of 9, not getting the respect due to the caliber of the opponent, like you said. But is Philly really that good? Are they a high caliber opponent offensively? They certainly do not look like it. They've won by more than 7 only once all year. That was that Giants game. I believe it was 38-20. Offense is proving incapable of putting games away in the second half, not just against Dallas, but against other teams too, letting teams hang around. So they have been picking up the wins, like I said, set by 7 points or fewer. But this Bears offense with Ben Johnson really seems like it's coming into form, has been scoring a lot of points down the stretch during the middle part of the season. And I think this line should probably be around 5 or so. So I like the Bears at +7 a lot.
Will you agree?
Yeah, it's a pretty huge spread. And I know the Eagles defense has played awesome, but I think the offense, as RJ mentioned, for the Bears is the key. Now, Caleb Williams is still going to do some stuff that'll leave you questioning his decision-making, but by and large, I mean, they are really starting to click. He's spreading it around. Colson Loveland heavily involved as of late and is really starting to take that, first-year spike that we thought we'd see out of the gate. So I think the Bears will score enough to stay in the number. And then, I get that the Eagles came out hot. They've come out hot throwing the ball 3 times this year, and that 3 times only. And I don't know that we can trust them to do that every week because they did it twice, had their bye, and then came right back out and were just a run-heavy team. And I think they will try to run against Chicago and be a little more conservative in this game in terms of how they play offensively. And ultimately, I think that comes to bite them in the rear, at least when it comes to the spread. Chicago gets in inside the +7. But, you could definitely make the case that the Bears are the NFC's version of the Patriots, this team with a annoying fan base that's won a bunch of games because they have an easy schedule.
I don't know. There's 2 games where Caleb Williams threw more than 1 touchdown over the last 8 weeks. So I just don't think you're accurate there. To that, I will say I am on the other side here with the Eagles. Larry, I like your approach better because I don't feel 100% the Eagles haven't been, and Larry will talk about why he's teasing, which I do agree with because the Eagles aren't super convincing. They haven't been all season long, especially with that Cowboys ridiculous loss. Caleb Williams had a great game last week, but that was last week. As I just mentioned, it's a very small sample size. They are not consistent. And this is a tough Eagles defense, allowing only 15 points per game were the last 4. And the Bears defense, tough is not a word I would use to describe them. They're allowing the 6th most points, the 6th most yards, 25 in overall DVOA. And as of today, they have 5 guys on the injury report. I know it's very early in the week. That could look completely different by kickoff. but that doesn't help a defense that's already struggling. Eagles have covered in 9 of their last 12 home games. I do think they cover. Maybe it's a live play if the Bears come out and score first, or maybe you just tease them, Larry, and you just avoid the sweat from the start.
Yeah, 15-1 straight up in their last 16 at home. The loss was to the Broncos, and they had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter of that one. Will, that was pretty cold comparing the Bears to the Patriots, given the Bears have a negative point differential despite being 8-3. So I am a little worried about the Eagles offense, which is why I want to tease it down to -1. But I think they're going to be able to run the ball. The Bears giving up 5.4 yards per carry on the road, 5.2 overall, which ranks 30th. The Eagles are taking a lot of flack for not getting Saquon going. And I think Big Fred Johnson, will play better in his second game replacing Lane Johnson. He played 4 games last year for Mailata, and he did pretty well. He's a big guy. He's a good run blocker, and he won't be facing the Cowboys and Quinnen Williams and that defensive line. I think the Bears, finally are going to get the regression we've been waiting for and at least lose this game by 3.